Good evening. A shocking scandal has rocked London City Council tonight. London's mayor and deputy mayor have both taken leaves from their duties, fallout from what they each describe as an inappropriate relationship. Merrick Sutherland is here to explain. Merrick.
Brian, the announcement that Maureen Cassidy was resigning as deputy mayor came as a shock tonight after an otherwise routine council meeting. And her reason was even more shocking.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and we'll get our council meeting underway. Matt is away on a family matter.
It would be several hours until this understated line would take on a much larger significance. In fact, after the formal agenda was complete, Deputy Mayor Maureen Cassidy arrived in the council chambers. She did not cast a vote, but rose to make this declaration near the end of the evening.
It's with a very heavy heart that I advise you of my decision to resign from my position as Deputy Mayor, effective immediately. You, my colleagues, have shown your trust in me by twice electing me to this position.
It wouldn't be until after council had wrapped up when Cassidy held an impromptu news conference to explain further the reasons for her departure.
Over the past year and a half, my work as Deputy Mayor has involved long hours working closely with the Mayor under conditions that were frequently extremely stressful. Over time, we developed a very close and highly productive working relationship. Unfortunately, the relationship between the Mayor and me for a brief period of time crossed a professional boundary, and this is something which I regret immensely.
Shortly after, the mayor issued a news release in it confirming that during a period of several months, a boundary was crossed from a working relationship to what Mayor Matt Brown described as an inappropriate personal relationship, calling it a grave error in judgment. Andrea Brown, Matt's wife, also releasing a statement tonight saying, "Together, we have work to do with the help of counseling, family, and friends to rebuild trust and focus on our marriage." Words very similar to how Cassidy described how her family will deal with this going forward.
My family and I are now working through this together. We are working together to rebuild the trust that has been broken.
Mayor Brown concluded his statement by saying, quote, "I'm taking some time away over the next little while, and I will return to my other duties when we're ready." Paul Huber confirmed starting tomorrow morning he will be acting mayor until that time when Mayor Brown is set to return. Brian?
Thank you very much, Merrick. And Mayor Matt Brown has agreed to his first television interview on this subject with CTV News tomorrow, and we'll have that for you during our 6 o'clock news. He'll also appear on 1290 CJBK Radio at 7:50 in the morning with Mike Stubbs, and the statements issued by Brown and his wife, Andrea, are on the CTV London website. We'll keep you updated on air and online as this story develops.
Good evening. A sex scandal at City Hall involving the mayor and the deputy mayor continues to unfold at this hour. It has been an explosive 24 hours as we learned that Matt Brown is taking a leave as mayor and Councillor Maureen Cassidy has relinquished her role as deputy mayor. Both say they are taking an unspecified amount of time off to repair their marriages. There's a lot of fallout from this affair. Rita Ismail begins our coverage tonight with a one-on-one interview with Matt Brown.
Hours after the sex scandal broke, Mayor Matt Brown issued a statement admitting he had an inappropriate personal relationship with Deputy Mayor Maureen Cassidy. Today, we sat down with the mayor to break down what transpired during this civic affair.
Did you develop feelings for Maureen, or was this a sexual relationship?
Yeah, it became an inappropriate relationship. When I told my wife about it, she was furious, very fortunate that she wants to work on her marriage, wants to give me an opportunity to repair the damage that I've done.
The mayor says the relationship was relatively brief but would not commit to a time frame.
Over the course of a number of months, the friendship developed. It was strictly personal, and it was entirely inappropriate.
Unfortunately, the relationship between the mayor and me for a brief period of time crossed a professional boundary, and this is something which I regret immensely.
Mayor Brown says he made a promise to his wife, Andrea, that he would not disclose specific details, including the space where these interactions occurred.
I've made a commitment to my family that this is my private life. These are very private details, but I do want to take responsibility for this, and I recognize that I'm a public figure.
As for why Brown and Cassidy decided to make the affair public, the mayor says he was aware of rumors that had been circulating. He felt it was important to address those rumors directly.
I knew that this would be very difficult, very public, very hard on all parties involved, very hard on the community, but I felt that dealing with this in the most honest way that I could at this time was the appropriate course of action.
Brown is set to meet with the Integrity Commissioner this Thursday. If his actions breached his professional responsibilities, the mayor is ready to abide by those recommendations. But as of now, the mayor is not resigning. He suggests this was a personal matter and doesn't believe any professional lines were violated.
What do you say to people that say you did in fact cross a professional line, because she is the deputy mayor and you're the mayor of the city and you did this, so you should resign?
Well, I mean, I take full responsibility for my actions. This was a grave error in judgment, and it has put my family in a very difficult position. It's put my colleagues in a very difficult position, and the community. So I take responsibility for that, and what I'd like to do is, given the appropriate amount of time, to begin earning trust back, first at home and then with the community.
How do you think the community can earn your trust and your respect back after you've lost it with your family?
I apologize. I take full responsibility. I apologize to my family, to my wife, to all of the parties involved, to my council colleagues, and to the community. This is a situation that I think I clearly understand the level of seriousness that exists, and that just let them know that I'm going to work as hard as I can to both restore my family's trust and the community's trust as well.
Now, amid this scandal, there are reports that the mayor's chief of staff, Corinne Rahman, has resigned. I spoke with Corinne on the phone, and she would not confirm nor deny that she has quit. She just said that she did not want to be a part of all of this.
All right, Rita. I was going to ask, what was his demeanor like? Did he seem different to you at all?
Definitely. He was not the same mayor that you would see at an event. He seemed embarrassed and almost ashamed of himself and his actions.
All right, well, thanks so much for your work tonight.
No problem.
Well, London's newly hired Integrity Commissioner tells CTV News that he is looking at the Brown-Cassidy affair to determine whether it warrants a formal investigation. Now, it follows a request by the mayor himself for a meeting and a number of complaints from the public. Brian Bicknell is live at City Hall tonight with more on what lies ahead. Brian.
Well, Tara, that's right. Over the coming days and weeks, many questions will be asked. Did this cross ethical lines? Did it breach council's own code of conduct? Or was this just a personal matter? Of course, the Integrity Commissioner will be looking into all of this to decide. Meantime, councillors and the new acting mayor are pledging to pick up the slack where the others have left off. A new job lies ahead for Matt Brown.
The main person in the election was arguing that we needed to put aside all the scandals of City Hall. It was just amazing, unbelievable.
Political analyst Phil McLeod says it's to regain trust of those who put him into office. But he's already made his first mistake, says McLeod, by allowing Maureen Cassidy to take the first public hit.
Where was he last night? He was represented by a series of telephone interviews and by press releases that he was issuing, but he wasn't there. I mean, in effect, on the very first, at the beginnings of this thing, he sort of put it out there that somehow, by implication, this was her fault because she was out there making the explanation. I found that a little devious.
The affair was confirmed Tuesday night. The pair came clean after inquiries from the media threatened to expose the liaisons. The admission also followed word CTV News had been making inquiries about Brown and Cassidy's expenses at a recent out-of-town conference they attended together. Councillors say they'll forge ahead in their absence, but Councillor Tanya Park was visibly upset today.
I think regaining trust will be a big task for this individual, both of them for that matter. Like I said, this is a disappointing situation.
We need to stay focused as a council. This is the type of thing that can really distract a council from making its progress.
Deputy Mayor Paul Hubert assumes the post until the mayor returns.
To own something as painful as that is in a public fishbowl, which politics is,
But didn't they own it because the media is threatening to go public with it if they didn't come clean?
I can't comment on that. I'm not aware of that.
Why did they own it? Because they were caught?
They owned it.
The Integrity Commissioner has not yet decided if the matter warrants a formal investigation. He will be guided, at least in part, by Council's own code of conduct, which states members are expected to perform their duties in office and arrange their private affairs in a manner that promotes public confidence and will bear close public scrutiny. Now, whether Brown and Cassidy continue to receive their pay from taxpayers is a bit unclear right now. A city spokesman tells CTV News there are no rules which would prevent them from being paid, but any individual could decline their pay if they wanted to. All they would have to do is go to the payroll department at HR and inform them of their wishes. Tara, back to you.
Brian Bicknell live from City Hall tonight. Thanks, Brian. The affair has been the issue on talk radio today and, of course, around workplaces around the city and, of course, on social media. It seems everyone has an opinion on this. Sean Irvin has been gathering a broad perspective and joins us with more tonight. Sean.
Tara, on our social media pages, many Londoners were critical of the actions of Mayor Matt Brown and former Deputy Mayor Maureen Cassidy. But some also expressed empathy and stated their private lives shouldn't be a public matter. Either way, Londoners have an opinion, and many of them express them online and on air. Andy Oudman is known for his shock radio, and the biggest political shock this city has seen in a while had he and his listeners fired up.
Inappropriate behavior is when you fart in church. This is not inappropriate behavior. This is career-destroying, life-destroying behavior.
I was shocked, Andy, and unbelievable. Mr. Clean is not so clean after all. He ran on a platform of integrity, which he has shown that he doesn't have any at all.
Well, opinions on the air might have been against the mayor, and in some cases, the former deputy mayor. Some had empathy for both on the streets.
These things happen in the workplace. I think people should just let the two people involved be.
People are human. I guess people make mistakes, but you'd think people would show some leadership, I guess.
But not everyone is willing to forgive.
I think that it's wrong.
And that was the thought of this man who hadn't heard the news yet. You've got that puzzled look many of us had last night.
A very puzzled look. Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate, actually.
Online, more mixed opinions, but many are angry and calling for resignations. Lori Dingwell says, "I thought our city was important enough to hire mature adults to make decisions for it. Are you two 13 years old?" But Heidi Drennan wrote, "Glad to see everyone can pass judgment. Excuse them for being a human and making a mistake. Perhaps look at yourself before you look at others." And even former Londoner and former American TV talk show host Jenny Jones weighed in. After all, the affair reads like a topic from her show. This weekend, she's dedicating a park in the Forest City and says he, the mayor, was supposed to cut the ribbon with me for new playgrounds on Saturday. I'm guessing he'll be a no-show. And Tara, it appears Londoners aren't finished talking, even if we have become accustomed to scandals at City Hall. There'll be plenty more to talk about in the days, weeks, and perhaps even months coming on this municipal affair. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Sean. So now that you have heard all of the details, we would like to know what you think. We have a poll up on our website asking if you think Mayor Matt Brown should resign. Also on our website, Rita Ismail's entire sit-down interview with Matt Brown. Check it out, london.ctvnews.ca. Well, this scandal is making national news, and it's not the first time a London mayor has been put in the spotlight for all of the wrong reasons. Merrick Sutherland tonight on previous missteps that impacted London's highest office.
Joe Fontana was only 2 years into his term as mayor when there was a call for his resignation amid allegations of misuse of government funds used to pay for his son's wedding. It happened while he was an MP.
I can't speak to it because I've declared an interest, as you know.
1 month later, Fontana was charged by the RCMP with breach of trust by a public officer, fraud under $5,000, and uttering forged documents. He refused to resign from the duties of mayor while the court case was heard, despite pleas from fellow councillors that he step aside. He would eventually relinquish his duties in June of 2014, 6 days after he was sentenced to serve 4 months of house arrest and 18 months of probation. London's longest-serving mayor, Anne-Marie de Sico-Best, came under fire during her re-election campaign in 2010 for the actions of her husband, Tim Best, who was sentenced to 6 months in jail for impaired driving causing bodily harm, dangerous driving, and 2 counts of failing to remain at the scene of a crash. Preceding that, in 1995, Mayor Diane Haskett lost a decision by the Ontario Human Rights Commission for refusing to issue a civic gay pride proclamation. In protest, Haskett took a 3-week leave of absence. Merrick Sutherland, CTV News.
They broke the trust of their families and Londoners, but did Mayor Matt Brown and Councillor Maureen Cassidy break Council's code of conduct? A former political ally of the mayor is now calling for an investigation by the Integrity Commission. Daryl Newcomb joins us live with the details tonight. Daryl.
Well, Tara, Councillor Josh Morgan and Mayor Matt Brown were friends long before they entered politics. Brown ran Morgan's failed campaign in 2006. Morgan then ran Brown's successful campaign for the Ward 7 seat in 2010. More recently, he was the mayor's special advisor on the budget. But now Councillor Morgan wants a formal investigation into the scandal surrounding Brown. Are you still Matt Brown's friend?
You know, even if I am, well, let me think about that. There's a strong separation between friendship and the job.
Councillor Josh Morgan says relationships aside, it's time to call in the Integrity Commissioner. It follows this week's admission that Mayor Matt Brown and Deputy Mayor Maureen Cassidy had an inappropriate relationship. Morgan wants the investigation to determine if Council's code of conduct was violated and recommend updates to the rules that govern their behavior.
You got to make difficult decisions sometimes. I took an oath of office. This isn't about you know, who's a friend or who's a colleague. It is about what I believe is in the best interest of the city.
Council's longest-serving member, Bill Armstrong, agrees.
It's appropriate that, you know, an independent review of this issue go on.
Armstrong says the investigation should focus on where and when the relationship took place and how it may have impacted city business or the integrity of the mayor's office.
It is difficult for council. It is for anyone to say it's business as usual. It's not for the council.
But London's new integrity commissioner comes with his own set of question marks. When he was hired about a month ago, he confirmed to CTV News that he has only been an integrity commissioner for about a year in other cities and has never conducted a full investigation that led to him writing an official report. Greg Stewart was only chosen by council after they cancelled a public request for proposals and instead conducted a confidential, targeted search. When asked today if an investigation has been launched based on the complaints received from the public, Stewart responded by email, "Not at this time." Even if Morgan's motion is approved, the decision to investigate is the commissioner's alone.
It could exonerate the mayor. It could also say that there was a breach. I have no idea what the result is. That's why you initiate the investigation.
Now, the motion by Councillor Morgan will be debated by the committee next week, and a final decision will be made on Thursday by council. In response to the question I posed last night at the end of my story, the mayor has issued a statement today saying that he will pay for yesterday's meeting in Goderich with the Integrity Commissioner. As well, we learned today that following a decision by Maureen Cassidy to make her leave of absence unpaid, Brown will be doing the same. Tara.
Great work on this story. Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks.
Renewed calls tonight for a formal investigation into the affair between Mayor Matt Brown and Councillor Maureen Cassidy. CTV News has obtained the Integrity Commissioner's invoice through the Freedom of Information Act, and it suggests his investigation lasted only a few hours. Daryl Newcomb joins us live with another CTV News exclusive. Daryl.
Well, Tara, the Integrity Commissioner's report has been used by the mayor as a way to try to close the door on questions about the impact the affair had on city business. But just how in-depth was the Integrity Commissioner's probe? His invoice is fueling calls for a formal investigation. At the mayor's news conference in June,
now that we have heard from the Integrity Commissioner, I can tell you that I am ready to focus on the future.
During the summer,
I accept the findings, and council has dealt with this as well, and it's time now to get focused.
And as recently as last week,
the Integrity Commissioner has weighed in on this. I've accepted the findings, and it's time to move forward.
Mayor Matt Brown has repeatedly referred to the Integrity Commissioner's report to justify closing the book on the impacts his affair with Councillor Maureen Cassidy had on city business. But CTV News has obtained the Integrity Commissioner's invoice, which charged $2,147. It sheds new light on the scope and depth of his investigation. 1.3 hours reviewing coverage of the issue, 1 hour preparing for a meeting with the mayor, 1 hour meeting with the mayor, 3 hours to review background information and write a draft report, and a combined 1.3 hours finalizing the report, a total of 7.6 hours. The invoice makes no reference to seeking documents from City Hall, including travel expenses, nor conducting additional interviews that might have aided in the investigation.
I don't think that we should be satisfied with that. He reviewed some news coverage and information that took him an hour or less to review. Outside of that, that's not an investigation.
London blogger Amanda Stratton says the document bolsters her call for a full investigation.
It doesn't look like he even talked to anybody else besides Matt, who he spent roughly a third of his investigative time talking to.
In his report, the Integrity Commissioner stresses he wants to get this report in the hands of the public quickly, so as to not, quote, prolong the public uncertainty. And he goes on to write, the facts, to the extent that they are necessary for me to be able to make the determination that I have to make, are clear and undisputed. Councillor Phil Squire feels launching a formal investigation may not provide the resolution Londoners are seeking.
We'd end up with another bill, we'd end up with another report with the same sort of result, and I think that's not going to serve us well. I think the ultimate recourse for people in London is the next election.
Instead, Squire suggests the same questions about political career advancements and other impacts on city business could be answered without cost or delay by Mayor Brown and Councillor Cassidy.
That would be for the parties involved to come forward with the information, to make full statements and disclosure about how this matter unfolded.
I think that we should be pressing for answers to questions and for the Integrity Commissioner to use the power that he has to do a formal investigation.
Now, I reached out to the Integrity Commissioner today seeking an interview, but so far I've not heard any response. As for the mayor's promise to repay the cost of his consultation meeting with the Integrity Commissioner, his communications advisor tells me this afternoon by phone that the city has been reimbursed for those costs. Tara.
Great work as always. Thanks so much, Daryl.